for me, it took 30 years to know I was autistic, for example. The number might be slightly higher, but I think the general guess is about 1% of the population.
I know that the ratios change every year as more information comes out and parents are able to find support for their children or adults are able to find support for themselves. But I think it went from 1 in 54, 1 in 44. And I think I saw recently for California, one study had come up with 1 in 22.
Wow.
So it's such a broad range of traits. And some people have profiles that would get them labeled as autistic, but all of their traits are subclinical. So it's complicated. It's a really difficult number to pin down, but we are everywhere. That sounds threatening, but
No,
we're everywhere.
not in the least. Not in the least. No, I think the thing that was fascinating to me about it is that it is pervasive, but because it's often misdiagnosed, it the sadness of it is that there's probably more people who could benefit from understanding that they are part of the community. But it's this is how we all progress, right? I mean, it's an extraordinary way to begin.
That's exactly why on Hiki, there's no requirement for someone to have a diagnosis. We're here for people to be able to explore their identity. If they identify with a lot of what they're hearing about the autistic experience, you can come and be around other people like that. And some people are proudly understanding themselves and their challenges without needing to go through the clinical system. There's not much support for adults often when you have the diagnosis anyway, so it's great.
Well, it certainly sounds like this is a major source of support, and it certainly takes away the loneliness or the factor that a lot of the miscommunication aspects. But let's go back to this extraordinary Getty Images story and the self portraits. So how did you encourage people to participate? Just tell me more about it because it's so fascinating.
Yeah, so Seth and I are both creators outside of our day jobs. So we both wanted to participate immediately when we were co-leading this project together. And because the autistic community is relatively small, but very rich and diverse online, especially, we both immediately, I think, knew which creators we might want to start reaching out to based off of our own networks. And it was really important to us to represent different communities within autism. We wanted to show Black autistic creators. We wanted to show queer autistic creators. We wanted to show creators from other countries. And it was important to us to show the diversity of autism and again, shatter that stereotype that autism is a very monolithic experience. So we used our own networks to reach out to the creators. We really leaned on Getty Images. I think there's been a lot of challenges with autism's representation in media. We wanted to make sure that the creators knew this was a legitimate program being led by Hiki in partnership with a very reputable institution like Getty Images. And then working obviously very closely with Hiki, led by Seth and other members of the Hiki team to ensure that we were being inclusive and accessible to our needs. Because working with autistic folks, we do work a little bit differently. Seth, anything that you might add there?
Yeah, when I started working on the campaign, I had just been hired by Hiki. So I was scrambling. How am I going to take these photos? This is such an exciting opportunity. I don't want to just show myself. I want to also show relationships. And it was so quick to find someone on Hiki in Los Angeles that I had not met before the shoot. He was like, "Oh, I love this project. I would love to be a part of this with you." And we're just sitting at tables with STEM toys, things like that. And then when I submitted the photos, working on the Hiki team, it was honestly a little bit funny for me to be like, okay, I need to remember this due date and this document, this form to turn this in. And then immediately was able to then be on the Hiki side of things rather than the self-portrait side of things. And reminding other creators in the thing, okay, we're going to need this document. If you have issues, open it this way. And it was just such a great introduction to working with other neurodivergent people, like as a primarily neurodivergent team. The communication flowed so much easier and the photos turned out great. We use them in our social media all the time. And as we can see, they are being used in research. So they've gone very far. It's incredible.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. And Rachel, it sounds like there was another major initiative because you really launched this at Cannes last year. And I'd be curious to learn a little bit more about not only the reaction, but also how it just affected how you move forward.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, Deborah. So we launched at Cannes in 2023, Cannes Lions, very intentionally because we wanted to change the tides from a business and media perspective, as well as within the community and on social media. And Cannes obviously being like this pinnacle for creativity and business, it felt like the right place to go and to show business leaders the power of neuro inclusion of these beautiful portraits that can be used from a commercial viability perspective, but also we're really breaking the boundaries of what representation in media can look like. So this was launched on a Cannes official stage. I was the official presenter, and after I got off stage, I just had this like horde of people come up, and a lot of them were autistic. And as somebody who is an autistic executive, I rarely actually meet other autistic people in business. And it was this, I think, real watershed moment to understand that there are so many of us in the ad industry. Unfortunately, as I think Seth alluded to in the beginning, there's so much ableism in business, medical fields, et cetera, that a lot of us have just hit ourselves and hit our identities. And it felt very cathartic to meet other autistic people who were so galvanized by this work and felt so inspired and excited to be represented finally. But what was even, from a business perspective, what was very cool was we immediately had brands pledging to use the images. Within a couple of weeks, Google, big shout out to Google, Google pledged to use the images as part of the new project. Full disclosure, I also worked on the new project, but the new project was a initiative that Google created to build events that are neuro-inclusive and accessible to neurodivergent people. And it's a full guide to help events professionals design events to be more accessible to neurodivergent needs. So all of the images in the new project guide are now from Autistic Out Loud. We've also had other brands in conversation with us about using the images. As Seth highlighted, they are being used in research, they're being used in media. I too have frequently come across images of myself on random websites, and I'm like, that's me. That's so cool. And it's incredible. And I think again, launching at Cannes, it felt like this moment where we can spotlight what creativity can look like when it comes from the community itself, which can be quite rare in the media and ad industry. I think we like to hold things very close to our chest and say, we know what creativity is and we need our creative leads to lead it. But we said, no, we want the community to lead this conversation and show themselves and represent themselves.
Well, I certainly hope that you got a video of not only your presentation at Cannes, but the people coming up to you afterwards, because as you move from still images to video, that might not be a bad one.
100%. Actually, my ADHD work bestie got a whole video of all the people surrounding and talking to me. And it was like me in the middle and a bunch of other autistic folks around me. And it just felt like this kind of really special moment. But yes, we definitely are starting to think what could happen next with this program if we want to do video, show other neurodivergent folks in other contexts, really sky's the limit there.
No, I'm sure it is. Let me just ask you something else. While you're talking about campaigns and Cannes and so on, just talk a little bit about the media campaign, and also I believe that the United Nations endorsed the program via their Unstereotype Alliance. If you could just share that with us as well.
Yeah, I'll start with the Unstereotype Alliance and UN Women first. So WPP, which is Mindshare is part of the WPP network, they are founding members of the Unstereotype Alliance. I'm a driving member of the alliance and do a ton of work with them to help remove stereotypes from media and advertising, which is the alliance's core mission. And because this program was solely focused on removing stereotypes around the autistic community, the Unstereotype Alliance saw the program and immediately said, this is incredible. This is exactly what this group is intending to do. They're formally part of the United Nations. And we were very proud to say that Sarah Denby, who's the head of the Unstereotype Alliance, immediately gave us a formal quote to use in the press and supported this work formally. We've showcased this work within their network as well. which is made up of dozens of some of the biggest advertisers in the world. So being able to connect it into the Unstereotype Alliance was a real privilege. And it also allowed us to, I think, give even more credibility to the program, having that, official UN Women badge of approval on it.
No, congratulations. That's quite extraordinary. So I guess now the question, and maybe I should direct it to Seth, is where do you go from here?
We have some features coming out in our next update that I'm so proud to have worked on. I think they're going to change the way that people think about themselves and how they introduce themselves to other people and meet new people, but I'm not allowed to tell you about them yet, so I will say this. We are fast approaching 200,000 users worldwide, and I believe that soon we will get to a point where you can see someone in public and maybe they're stimming a little or they've got a shirt or a sticker of an interest of yours, but it's too loud or you're too shy to introduce yourself. So you can think, okay, well, I'll find them on Hiki later. That is my dream, and we are approaching that every day. We will keep building features and taking community requests to make sure that Hiki is accessible to a wide range of needs. And we're looking to do in-person events too, sensory friendly, in-person, maybe things like speed dating, stuff like that. So there's a lot in store for us. It's just a matter of time. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's an extraordinary start. It's a pleasure to speak with you both. You talk about Hiki and you talk about the entire concept of autism with such passion and such knowledge that it's a joy to hear it, and it's also, I think, wonderful for our brand audience to realize that there's now a resource where they can find more. So just delighted to have you on.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, a pleasure, and looking forward to hearing more. The Internationalist focuses on the continual reinvention of marketing by highlighting inspirational marketers around the world and their ideas as they move the industry forward. Internationalist Marketing TV shares these perspectives through interviews and personal stories. Thanks so much for watching. If you find this kind of content helpful, please click like or subscribe. Again, thanks so much.